This comes from one of our bloggers, Chuck on the Right Side. And if you want to find some interesting commentary and get a little chuckle out of it, get it, Chuck, chuckle, go visit Chuck on the Right Side. Is Social Security another Ponzi scheme? All right. Now, down here in South Florida, we have a large population that is utilizing Social Security. And the next time I'm in the donut shop, I just may wear a T-shirt that says Social Security is another Ponzi scheme, just to see what the reaction would be, just to see. And I've got the article up here, and it's pretty good. It says Ida Mae Fuller, the first recipient of a Social Security benefit check in 1940, paid a total of $24.75 into the Social Security Fund. Her monthly check was issued in 1940 for $22.54, almost as much as she paid in for the whole thing. So she only paid $24.75. And for that $24.75, she received $22.54 as her payments.
In check number one.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, I want in on this investment. This is better than gold. All right, so over the ensuing 35 years of her life, she collected a total of $22,880. So she puts in $24 and gets almost $23,000 out. Where is that slot machine in Vegas? I want to play that one. All right, her case is reminiscent of the early investors in a Ponzi scheme. All right, and then the article it goes on to give you a little more detail and to talk about it. But basically, it sounds like a Ponzi scheme, doesn't it?
Sounds like Bernie Madoff.
Yeah, the first guy in is the guy who makes out the best. The last guy in at the bottom is the guy that gets hosed. Those are the ones that are left holding the bag. So if you're one of the first ones in, you're at the top of the pyramid, it works out for you. You're going to get something. But if you're at the bottom end, ain't going to be nothing there. So at what point, at what date do we get to a point where we say, okay, everyone who's paying into it, guess what? There's nothing there anymore. It's all up. The gig's up. There is none. You've been paying in for 10 years. Sorry, you get nothing. At what point does that happen, or does it happen?
Well, John, I think that most people who are your age, feel that they will not receive Social Security.
I feel that same way. I get every year I get a statement, Social Security statement, says if you were to retire at 62 and a half and blah blah blah, and they give me all these different dates and they tell me what my monthly payment is, and I get a glass of wine and I have such a laugh. I really enjoy it. It's like a little comic relief. Not as good as watching the old Al Franken bits on SNL, but still, it's comical. No, I don't believe that Social Security is going to be there. I am not counting on it at all. I expect it to be long gone in the dirt by the time I get there. But when you take a Ponzi scheme and it's done in the private sector, like Bernie Madoff, at some point, you're going to get to that bottom of the pyramid. That pyramid at the bottom, the base becomes so wide, you get so many people paying in, that all of a sudden you get to the point where that's where you're paying out to such a wide base you can't cover it. At some point you can't cover your bets. Any bookie knows that. And when that's the case, you leave town. Now, when the federal government does it, they just crank up the printing press. And you're going to get your check. But what I laugh most about is when I see the Social Security says I'm going to get X amount of dollars. What am I going to be able to buy for that X amount of dollars by the time I get there? And today's money, I look and go, well, that's pretty good. That's not too bad. But by the time I get there, that might be a gallon of milk and a loaf of bread.
Yeah, no, or it might not be anything. You know what? I think what's going to happen is well before you get there. I mean, probably before the end of this decade. They're going to phase out. They're going to do everything they can to phase out physical currency, and they're going to move to where they're going to issue everybody debit cards. Because printing money is just too damn expensive, and they can't run the presses fast enough.
That's it. Electronic, much better way to go.